And please, it is being recorded for members who have unfortunately not been able to attend. And now, without a further ado, it is my privilege to introduce our speaker for today's session, Dr. Damian Goldvarg. Dr. Damian has 30 years of experience providing executive coaching, leadership training, and facilitation in over 60 countries. Now, I wonder, Doctor, whether Oman will make it 61 or will it still remain 60?
I'm definitely open to it.
He is a master certified coach and received his PhD in organizational psychology from Alien University. He is an accredited coach supervisor and an accredited team coach and facilitates certifications in professional coaching, team coaching, and coaching supervision in English and Spanish. He was the 2013-14 International Coach Federation Global President. And he has published 9 books on coaching related topics and several book chapters. He was also the recipient of 2018 ICF Circle of Distinction Award for his contribution to the coaching profession worldwide. Dr. Damian, thank you for being here. A very warm welcome to you once again.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here. I was in the Global Board of Directors for 6 years, from 2010 to 2016. And in 6 years, for 2 years, I was the global president. And at that time, one of my goals was to meet as many chapters as possible. So over the years, I think in person, because of my job, I work also for the United Nations, different organizations, doing different jobs. I had to travel a lot, so part of because of my personal travel, but in part because of the representative of ICF, I joined many chapters over the years. But this is my first time with Oman, so I'm very happy to be here. And we have 1 hour. We're going to work together. I don't like to lecture, to talk to people, but I like to have a conversation, to have a dialogue. So is that okay with everybody? That's okay to participate and engage and learn together. So that's the reason why I was asking people to introduce each other at the beginning, people who came a little bit earlier, so we can learn also from our own experiences. And I do believe that in these chapter meetings, the goal is not only to learn more about the topic, but also to connect with other coaches. So I think that's important, to connect with other colleagues from all over the world. We have here an opportunity to meet, and you never know how these connections can support you in your journey professionally. So always be open to your meeting new colleagues in these meetings. So I'm going to talk today about supervision. And the way that I learned about supervision was by the way, my accent is from Argentina. So that's the reason, Mar, because I work in English and Spanish, because I am from Argentina. And I live in Los Angeles, and I have been living in the United States in Los Angeles for 35 years. But I do a lot of work in Latin America. I help to open all of the Latin American chapters. I coach most of the presidents when they open the chapters in Latin America. And I don't know, Oman, how many years have the Oman chapter has been in existence?
10 years.
10 years?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's
We are
also around the
celebrating 10th anniversary this year.
Congratulations. That's great. So when I was in the global board, we were talking about the future of coaching, what will happen in the future. And we were looking in the world. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with EMCC, European Mentor and Coaching Council. EMCC has as mandatory for all coaches to receive supervision to renew their credentials. And that has been that way for many years. And when I was in 2012, sitting in the board and we're talking about the future of coaching, we were wondering, what do we need to pay attention to? And supervision was not in our radar. We were not talking about that. And we didn't know what was it. So CSA, Coaching Supervision Academy, came to the United States in 2013 with the first credentialing program to accredit supervisors. So with a colleague in the board, Janet Harvey, some of you may know Janet. Janet was the president before me. And I was her co-president-elect. So we together went to get certified as supervisor so we can bring information to the board to make decisions. So I went through that training and I thought all coaches need to have supervision. I agree with EMCC. I agree with the European Mentor and Coaching Council. We need to do the same at ICF. But it was not popular because in America, people don't like to be told what to do. And they don't like mandatory, nothing that is mandatory. So it didn't work out. So it took ICF 10 years to finally come with a model, with a framework to understand supervision. But finally, last year, ICF developed a competency framework, and it make it mandatory for all team coaches to receive supervision, to receive an accreditation as a team coach. Is anybody here a team coach by any chance? Do we have anybody here? Mar? Surya? Okay, so if you're team coaches and if you want to get your accreditation with ICF, you know that you need to get supervision. It's mandatory. It's a requirement. Eventually, I think one day I will accomplish my dream that is mandatory for everybody, because many times we don't know what we don't know. So when we hear the word supervision, most of the time people think you're going to tell me what to do, you're going to control me. You know, the word supervision in general, in English and in Spanish, because it's the same word, have a negative connotation. Like we think, okay, I don't want to be supervised. I don't want to be told what to do. But in this context, we have a different definition of supervision. So we'll share a few slides and then I will ask you some questions and then we're going to do an exercise so everybody can participate. So let me share my screen. Oh, can you see the presentation well? Yes, it's okay, good. So the idea is that in terms of the future of coaching, I do believe supervision will have even more visibility than now. It's growing. Many people, maybe in Oman or in the countries where you are participating and not as familiar with supervision, is taking some work to bring visibility and understanding. Today, my goal is to define what is supervision. And sometimes I like to split the word into supervision, because when you split it into like supervision, you can see that you see from the high and look at your work. So you dissociate yourself, you separate yourself, and from the high, you look at the work you are doing. So I like to do that just to distinguish it and to separate it from the definition that we use every day. We're going to distinguish it, separate it from mentor coaching. And I'm going to introduce you a model called the 7M model. I will share some resources and answer your questions. So let's start with the ICF definition of supervision. Coaching supervision is a collaborative learning practice to continually build the capacity of the coach through a reflective dialogue for the benefit of both coaches and clients. So a key element here, the way that I like to define supervision, is a reflective conversation. So it's a conversation where we reflect, where we think about our work. We look at the work we're doing with our clients, we think about it, and we develop new awareness about how we are showing up, who we are being as coaches. And as a result of that, we can bring our coaching to the next level. So we may say that supervision has three functions: formative, normative, and supportive or restorative. Formative, because support the coach to keep developing and growing and learning. Normative, because it helps to provide legal, ethical standards and adhering to them. And finally, supportive, because it's a space where we recharge energies, bring our emotional challenges, make our job less lonely. And as a result of that, we can feel more confident, have more balance between life and work, and we can be in a better place as coaches. But mentor coaching is different. And mentor coaching, different than supervision, is mandatory for all coaches in training and for all coaches renewing the ACC credential and all coaches applying for the MCC credential. And mentor coaching is different because in mentor coaching, we are listening to the coach coaching in person or in recording. and we're providing feedback. So the goal of mentor coaching is to provide feedback on coaching skills. The goal of supervision is reflect on the job and look at how is the coach showing up, what maybe some ethical dilemmas, not necessarily focusing on skills. So the key word here in mentor coaching is skill. And another piece is the supervisor not necessarily is listening to recordings. The supervisor works on what the coach is sharing about their learning. It's not using recordings like in mentoring. Now, there are some similarities between coaching, mentor coaching, and supervision. There is a superposition. So what they all have in common is they are conversations. But in coaching, the goal is to achieve goals. In coaching, we support our clients so they can be new observers of reality, build insight, and create new possibilities of action so they can get results in their lives. Mentor coaching is about developing competencies and skills. And coaching supervision is about the continued development, is building capacity on the coach, is looking for the reflective space. So in all of them, they are client-oriented. There is always a conversation where there is a contract. Needs to be safe, needs to be listening, powerful questioning, feedback, needs to create awareness. There is learning. There is a conditional positive regard. There is a supportive space. So what we have in common is we are looking at the other person as resourceful, complete, that's not to be fixed. Now, what do you think would be good topics to bring to supervision? So this is where I would like you to participate. I want everybody in the chat box to write down what topics do you think are appropriate to bring to supervision. So I want everybody to write down what will you bring to supervision? What topics do you think are appropriate for supervision? So here's where you say blind spots, patterns, ethical dilemmas, when the client is not making progress, bias, area where the coach struggles to self-manage, feel tired and can't connect with the client after the coaching session, social limitations, issues talking the session and coach is somewhat affected, inner conflict, coaching sessions, ethical issues. Maybe you feel disconnected with coaching. Excellent, excellent point. Thank you everybody for participating. Yeah, all of these topics are appropriate. All of this is what's happening in supervision. So we bring concerns, we bring challenges, we bring surprises, we bring questions, we bring insights. Not necessarily problems. We can also bring situations so we can validate and normalize what we have done. So when I was going through the training, I did a presentation in Argentina, in my home country. And one of the participants said, Damian, there is absolutely nothing in Spanish. We need you to come to Argentina and train as supervisors. So eventually, 3 years later, I developed a supervision certification training. And I have been training now for almost going to be 10 years. And when the participants in the program need to practice supervision, they found that sometimes their supervisees bring to the discussion that they don't have any problems with the client. So I say, well, they don't have any problems, means that probably they have blind spots because we always have challenges, no matter how much experience we have. Like I am a master coach, I have been a master coach for more than 15 years, and I still have blind spots. We all do because we're human beings. So supervision is for everybody, not only for new coaches. It's for new coaches, for coaches we have some experience, and we coaches who have a lot of experience. So I do work with my own supervisor. And I have supervision of supervision too, because supervisors also have blind spots. So we always need to look at what we may not be seeing. But also it's completely appropriate to bring any case, anybody. I said, if you have a client, bring it to conversations and we're going to explore what you're doing. And I am sure there's going to be some learning no matter what. So this is very important. You don't need to have a problem to be able to receive supervision from a client, but you definitely need to have clients. You cannot come to supervision if you don't have clients, you're not working with clients, because this is what you bring to your work, your client's work. Now, I want to share with you a model, and then we're going to practice with each other. So I want you to pay attention. This is called the 7A model from Hawkins and Shockett. And this model is one of the most used models in supervision. And I wrote, as you heard before, 9 books and co-edit a couple of more. And my book number 11 is coming up this year. And I am very excited because it's a book about applying coaching skills to leadership. So it's a book for leaders on coaching skills. So if you're interested, you can already, it's ready for pre-sale. So I'm very excited. This is a book that I hope it make a big contribution to leadership worldwide, where we apply all of the coaching competencies to the work of the leaders. And when you as a coach are working with a supervisor, you want to look at these 7 places. And I wrote a book about this model, but it's in Spanish because there is a lot in English, not in Spanish. So we have here somebody from Spain. You may be interested, Mar, in the book on coaching supervision. It's available in Spanish. And I do believe that this model is a really great foundation for understanding what happened in supervision. And it's called 7A model because we are looking at 7 places. So we are going to see what are the 7 places that we look in supervision. So I want you to think about the client that you're working right now as a coach. And by the way, I also introduce a concept that supervision may be included in coaching training. So I train coaches, team coaches, and supervisors. And when I train coaches, I include supervision in my training programs. So participants not only receive mentoring, what is mandatory, but they also receive supervision from a different person. So supervision is part of the training. So people understand that from the beginning. So with this, supervision can be received when you're in training, after you finish training, and later when you're an very experienced coach. So this 7A model works in 3 systems, and systems are units of exploration. So we're going to look at 3 places we're going to be exploring. We're going to be looking at the client and the coach and the relationship between the client and the coach. We're going to be looking at the supervisor and the coach and the relationship between the supervisor and the coach, and we're going to look at everything around us. So we are going to call the supervisor and coach the supervisory system, the coach and the client the coaching system, and the overall, what is around us, the overall system. Now, in this model, with the 7I, we're going to be looking at who is the client, what is the client bringing to supervision. Number 2 is what the coach has done with his client in the session. Number 3 is the relationship. And I'm going to go slowly one by one, but I'm going to give you a whole explanation and then I go eye by eye. So the I number 1 is the client. Who is the client? What the client is bringing to coaching. Number 2 is what the coach has done with the client in the sessions. Number 3 is the coach. What's happening to the coach working with the client, in particular in the relationship? How is the relationship between the coach and the client? So as you can see in the system coach client, we're looking at the client, we're looking at what the coach has done, and we're looking at the relationship between the coach and the client. I number 4 is the coach. What's happening to the coach? What are the reactions in the here and now in supervision? When you think about about your client, what are you experiencing? And reflecting on the work that you have done with your client, what's happening to you? What is your experience? Who you are being with this client? And this is the coach, the focus on the coach. I number 5 is the relationship between the supervisor and the coach right now. I number 6 is the supervisor. What's happening to me and your supervisor working with you? And these are the 3 elements of the supervisory system. What's happened to the supervisor, what's happened to the coach, and what happened between them. And then the number 7 is the overall system. What's happening socially, politically, economically around us. So, for example, right now in the United States, people are really upset about what's happening with the government policies. Probably this is having a repercussion all over the world. But if you live in the United States, people are really under a lot of stress about this policy from the government that is affecting negatively many people. Many people are losing their jobs. People are very upset, very angry. The people who voted for the president are very disappointed. It's really stressful. So this is affecting and impacting the work we're doing as coaches, or that we are doing as supervisors. Okay, so I number one is the client and the situation. I number two are the interventions. I number three is the relationship with the coach client. And number four is the coach. And the supervisory system. And number five is the supervisory relationship and parallel processes. Parallel processes is how whatever is happening right now repeats in the coaching session. 6 is the supervisor, and 7 is the wider context. So let's go one by one. I number one, the client. So here in supervision, the supervisee knows that needs to bring to supervision a work that they have done with the client. So we're all going to do this together. I want you to think about the client that you're working with. Think about the client you're working with. So what is the agreement? Why is this client coming to coaching? So think about your client and why they are coming to coaching. What is the agreement? What are his or her concerns? So these are the questions you may ask if I'm supervising you, I may ask you these questions with the client. What are their concerns? What is the agreement? I also like to know how they get to you, because it's different if the client is working with you because it's mandatory, or somebody assigned them to you, or they chose you. Because if they chose you, there is going to be much more trust. If they have not chosen you, you will need to build trust. So there are other elements to consider. So I need you to write this down in a piece of paper, because we're going to be sharing that with a colleague. In a few minutes, we're going to go to small groups to share this with a colleague. So I number 12 interventions. What you have done, how did it work? What did you ask? Did you use any specific tools? What was effective, what not effective? So I number 2 is think about your last session with this client. What did you do and how did that work? So you can just write one sentence, something brief. Doesn't have to be very long. I number 3, the relationship between the coach and the client. So here is I'm going to ask you, how is the relationship? How would you describe it? And here is when we do the supervision. I may ask, okay, if you look at yourself at a distance, what do you see? So you can use different metaphors. You can see if you're a fly on the wall, what are you seeing when you see you and working with your client? You can use a drone. If you see from a drone perspective, what do you see? Before was a helicopter view. Now we can use the drone view, a little bit more sophisticated, a helicopter view. We can use, if you're in a theater and you're looking, or you're in a movie theater, what do you see in front of you? So you can use different metaphors. If it would be a dance, what kind of dance would be that relationship? Yeah, if you like to use and work metaphors, you can use that. Whatever works for you. So how was your relationship, metaphor, and this relationship? So think about that, answer that about this client briefly. Write a couple of words. So these 3 questions for the client. And then if we go to the system coach supervisor, we ask you, what's happening to you working with this client? Is the client reminding you of somebody? What is your experience? What are your emotions? What are your feelings? How do you think are you showing up for this client? What would you like to see different? What we call in coaching the questions about the who you're being as a coach working with this client. So how would you answer this question? What were your personal reactions, emotions, concerns? What's happening to you working with this client? These are the kind of questions we ask here. I'm going to share this presentation with you, so you don't worry about the details. You will have that later, so you can keep it. The I number 5 is the relationship between the supervisor and the supervisee. So you cannot answer this question here because it's what's happening right now, and this is not a supervision session. So you will not answer anything here. But I may ask, what's happening between us working together? And it's a possibility that what is happening between us right now is happening between you and your client. And I number 6 is the supervisor. Happening to me when you share with me your story about your client and what's happening to you. This is my reaction. I am feeling confused, I am angry, I am worried. Are you feeling in the same way? So we share what's happening to us and we explore if what's happening to us in the here and now also is happening to the coach working with the client. These are my experiences, my reactions. And then I number 7 is the context, what's happening around us, socially, politically, economically, how this is affecting us. So as a supervisor, I may ask you, what's happening where you are and how it's affecting you. The war in Europe may be affecting different people in Oman, people in Spain here, people in Jordan, people in different countries, the wars, there are several wars happening right now, how this is affecting you. So this is about how the bigger system is affected. Now we are going to stop sharing here. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we are going to go to small groups. And I want you choose, not everybody may be able to share from the 20 people who are here. So I'm going to send you to rooms of 6 people, 3 people, or 4, 3 or 4 people. So in that way, one person share what you wrote. And whatever, you don't give the name of the person or any details of the person, so nobody will know who your client. You want to protect confidentiality, but share some of the insights, some of the learning by answering the questions. Okay, and I will give you. We have time for 1 or 2 because we have only 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, as many people who can share this session. It's just an exercise. So share in 10 minutes what came up for you. Choose one person per group, and if you have time for a second person, go for the second person. Okay? And people may ask follow-up questions. Is that clear what we're doing? Yeah. Okay. So let's be back in 10 minutes.
Welcome back.
Okay. How did it go? Do you have a good conversation?
Yeah, you stopped us in
Yes.
the interesting
Yeah.
topics.
You probably needed more time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually this takes longer, but this is what we have. So we're working with what we have. But at least you get a flavor, a sense of how coaching supervision works, because coaching supervision, as we're sharing here, these are conversations. So here is like the element of a coaching supervision conversation. So the session today, you have a sense of how a conversation may look like. So Surya, you're going to get training with CSA. So you will be one step ahead than everybody else in your class. So you get a sense of how does it work. Any questions or comments? Because we need to start wrapping up. Anybody would like to share? You want to share your experience or your questions, comments? This is an open space for people to share before we finish.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Soya.
So, maybe one of the things I want to share is it's really interesting to get this discussion because it's something you need it once we go the coaching and coach people, you get into things that sometimes you see how to solve it out, but sometimes you might know somebody's by asking you these questions also will improve your way forward on coaching clients.
Exactly, exactly. Like by looking at this, we can bring our way of being and showing up in a much more effective way. So it's good that you see the value of having these conversations and this exploration. And as you can see, the supervisor in these conversations are not telling you what, and you're just facilitating your reflection, your thinking about the process. So Caroline, I think Caroline, we have been talking about that for a while, haven't we? Since we worked together in the MCC process. And I believe when you go through supervision training, and Surya, you will see that you're going to bring your coaching also to the next level.
Yeah.
Because when you supervise, you also learn and grow together with other coaches.
Yeah.
Surya, you were going to share a comment.
Yeah, I was in the same group with Hale, and he was kind enough to share. And it was interesting because so often as coaches, it can be a very isolating process for you because you fully present with your client, and sometimes the topics that come, I do executive coaching, team coaching, individual coaching. So I also have individual clients coming with real life problems, and you're holding that container for your client. And it was Sarah who mentioned, how do you then protect your energy? How do you, when there's a topic that is really heavy and you're there with your client in that space, how do you then go away and recover? And I think that's a beautiful question, because I know when I started out in my coaching 10 years ago, I was so overwhelmed. There was just so much that you leave. And I think supervision is a really beautiful way to also for someone else to hold that container with you. So it's just expanding that container to say, here's the feelings I'm feeling, learn how to self-manage, become more self-aware, and just create that space for you to feel like you can let go, and also it's one of the key principles, our clients are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And so when we to see them as broken, then we sort of giving up on them. So it's also good to hold that space where they are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, and they will find themselves out of the situation. So we need to trust in that process as well.
Excellent point. Excellent point. And what is interesting is the way that we recuperate from emotional conversations is different for every person. So this is the reason why supervision helps us, because we all need different things. So supervision can help us to identify, okay, what do I need to recharge batteries? What do I need to deal with that? And many times, and my background, I have two backgrounds. One is as an organizational psychologist. So my PhD is in leadership development. So I have been working developing leaders for 30 years. But before that, I was a clinical psychologist. So I also have the clinical background working with families and children living with HIV and AIDS. That's something that I did in the past. And related to that, I'm bringing it because that was very emotionally draining, working with families and children living with HIV and AIDS. And I had to look for my own resources to do that. And for me, it was exercising. So exercising really helped me and it still does. This is what I do. I exercise. I need to exercise because exercise is good for my body, but it's good for my mind.
Yeah.
Anything we can do with our body contributes to our work. So I always recommend people to look into that. Even if you don't like exercising, go dancing. Move, do something with your body. And then the other piece is related to talking. Talking is healing. So this was related to therapy too. And as a psychologist, many times I would have sessions with my clients and I would not speak much. And then the client would say, Dr. Goldvarg, you're amazing, you're fantastic. And what did I do? Being silent. What is not minor. Being silent is not minor. Why? Because we don't have people to listen to us. Most of people are telling us what to do, how to solve problems. So we have somebody who can really listen. That makes a difference. So as coaches, if we can have somebody to listen to us when we can, and listen, When coaches start talking, you cannot stop them. like everything that you don't say, like with your clients in supervision, they don't stop talking because they have a lot to say that they cannot do that in coaching sessions. So talking is healing. So that's the reason why that's the other thing, Sarah, that by talking and expressing what's happening, also in the process of talking, we are healing ourselves. So that's another way. So working the exercise, talk, that's where supervision makes a difference.
Yeah. I
So we need to
also like to
start.
say
Yes.
something, Damian, is that
Yes.
I'm also realizing silence is so powerful. Sitting in quiet peace, is so therapeutic as well for us as coaches when we need to surrender something, a heavy topic, or just recoup. It rejuvenates you. So just sitting in silence sometimes.
Yes.
I like when you said exercise. That used to be mine. Now it's very much meditation because I feel going into the quiet is just so grounding, so healing. There's so much information just in the quiet.
Yeah.
You drop the noise and you just sit in the
Yeah.
silence. So I find that
And
really beautiful.
And we don't talk enough about this, how to take care of the coach. We talk all the time about how to take care of the client, but we don't
Yeah.
have enough conversations in our profession to talk about how to take care of ourselves without feeling guilty. Okay, we take care
Yeah.
of ourselves, something wrong. We just be thinking in our client. And you remember, Caroline, when we talk about MCC coaching, is silence is key. So this is what in common between being an MCC coach and a supervisor is that we work with silence a lot. We cultivate silence as an opportunity for learning. And you don't need to be an MCC coach to do that. So I want to encourage everybody here to pay attention to how do you use silence in your sessions as a coach. So I hope that the session today really brought you some awareness about supervision, differentiated. One of our colleagues wanted to know the difference with mentor coaching. I'm going to put here in the chat box my information so you can contact me if you have any questions. As I said before, train supervisors, and the supervisor need to practice. So what I want to offer everybody here is if you want to receive free supervision, complimentary supervision for 6 sessions, usually the supervision session, the cost is around $300. So it's almost a $2,000 value to receive free supervision. The exchange, though, there is an exchange. The exchange is that they need to record the sessions because they need to receive feedback as supervisors. So that's the only thing. If you are willing to receive free supervision in exchange of being recorded, so they can bring the session to their own supervisor. Now, in supervision, we don't use recordings. But in this case, because they're being trained as supervisors, they need to bring the recordings so they can get feedback about if they're doing a good job or not. So if you are interested and you want to get 6 sessions for free, let me know. I have my information here. This is my LinkedIn, my account. So this is an extra gift for the chapter. Caroline, we didn't talk about that, but you can all get as a value, extra value, to get 6 supervision sessions if you want to. And here in my social media outlets, I want to invite you to be a contact in LinkedIn in particular. LinkedIn is a good way to connect with colleagues and professionals. I also have a newsletter, and every month I do demonstrations for my program for free. So I open my classes. So when I train coaches, team coaches, and supervisors, I open my classes for people to come and learn about our modalities. So you can see people being supervised, coached, and this is all for free. So you can look at my newsletter. You have invitations in my newsletter, and also in YouTube I have 500 videos. So half of them are in Spanish. So I think you're the only one who can benefit from all of them. Everybody can benefit from half of them, but still you have 250 recordings on topics related to coaching, supervision, team coaching, leadership, a lot of resources that can be free available for you. So these are all resources for you. And I don't know, before we go, if it's okay to take a picture
Yes, we
with
will.
all of us
Yes.
for social medias. I don't know if maybe some people don't want to
Thank
be in
you.
the picture. So if you don't want to be in the picture, turn off your camera. But if you want to be in the picture, turn on your camera so you can share in your social media that you have participated in this session today. And I can take the picture with a smile and I can put it in the chat box so you can all share if you want to. You need to take your glasses and look a little bit better. Everybody smile. Great. So now what I'm going to do is in the chat box right now, I am going to put this picture so you can use it in your social media and share that you have come to the chapter today and that you participated.
I've also shared a link for the feedback.
Cannot do it. Okay, I cannot do it because it's not my computer. So what I can do is if you give me permission, I can put your names in LinkedIn, so in that way you will receive it and you can share that in that way. So we can do it that way. Was great meeting you. Great meeting you, working with you. Yes.
Yeah, if I may say so, we have one of the most efficient PR and marketing chairs amongst all the chapters, and she's right there, Fatma Lajmi. So she takes some great grabs. So don't worry about it.
Okay, great. Okay, so you can take the picture
Fatma,
too.
hope you got some today.
Yes, great, good. Well, it was great meeting everyone. And I hope that the session today benefits you. And I am a resource for you. If you need anything, you can contact me and maybe come back, Carolyn, in the future to do another session on a different topic.
I still need to ask Carolyn to do a quick vote of thanks.
Dr. Damian, on behalf of ICF Oman, thank you. Thank you from our hearts for sharing your expertise, sharing your knowledge, and giving us all those ta-da, what you put in the chat box. Half the team is in here because they are at an in-person event. ICF Oman is really giving our heart and soul into International Coaching Week. So half of us chose to be online to support the session, and the other half are doing a community outreach initiative on behalf of ICF Oman. I'd like to say a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you here from different parts of the world. It means so much to ICF Oman to have you here and hopefully to stay engaged with our coaches, stay engaged with our members. And I'm pretty sure we can grow coaching, we can grow as coaches, and we can grow as a community as well. Anjana, our education and programming chair, thank you so much for putting this session together, despite all the challenges that you're having yourself. Fatma Lajmi, our PR and marketing chair, as always, makes us all look very good online. And last but not least, a special thanks to everyone out there for being coaches, being coach-like. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day, evening, night, whatever it is that's coming your way. Mas salama. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you so
Good
much,
night.
Damian. Thank you,
The
everybody.
feedback
Very
link,
pleasure.
the registration link, by the way.
Thank you
It
so much.
opens the registration link. The
Sorry?
feedback link
Is
you
it
have
in the chat
provided.
in the chat box? It's in the chat box.
Oh, okay. Just one sec. I'll resend it if you 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you, Damian. You know, especially with supervision having that negative connotation, I think it's so important to see the benefits of it. My previous life, I was a teacher. So we were always kind of supervised, you know, we've always had feedback, we had opportunity to talk. And I think what's so important about this as coaches is that you don't feel alone. I think, you know that someone's there to hold your space as well. So yeah, great work. And thank you for all the resources. Hope
you benefit
Thank you
from
very
them.
much.
Yeah, thank you. And well done,
Great meeting you
ICF
guys.
Oman.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank you, Fariha. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you. Bye now.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.